Hey everyone, welcome to my new Riftbound channel. If you don't know, I normally do League of Legends esports stuff, but I'm very interested in TCGs. I love Magic, and so whenever Riftbound got announced, this was kind of perfect for me. So I've started up this new channel. This video in particular is going to be about the organized play thing. So if you're somebody who wants to be like a grinder, who wants to figure out how to win and where you can win and all that type of stuff, this video is for you. So I got a chance to go to the Riftbound Summit with a bunch of other creators and influencers and media folks a couple of weeks ago, and we learned a lot about their high-level plans for organized play. I think what's really cool to hear from them is that they plan to have it basically right out the gate. I know that there's a lot of discussion in the TCG world that other games like Lorcana or the Star Wars TCG, I forget what it's called, Rebels something, I don't know. That game, all these things, just they didn't have anything immediately, so people went in and they wanted to compete in these things. They were buying the cards, they were building decks, and there was just not much there for them. And so it kind of helped diminish those games a little bit from where they could have been. So what was really exciting was to hear that Riot and their publishing partner UVS are going to get stuff going really quickly. In fact, this game comes out in October. If you're watching this video and you don't know anything else about it, you want to know what the stuff is, go watch the other videos on my channel that explain more about the game, etc. The game comes out in October, and right away in December, they are planning on having a regional qualifier. So these are going to be events where they have, based off of the capacity that of people attending, these are going to earn you opportunities to go to the regional championships. So we'll talk more about all this in a second, but I just wanted to say that like literally within a couple months of the game coming out, there's going to be opportunities for people to compete in events in different parts of the world. So that is pretty cool. Before we get to the premier play, there's the local play, and that is the type of thing that most of us are familiar with if you just play casually in your town or city or wherever you live. This is where you go to your local game store. So for instance, I go to Next Gen. They are in Los Angeles over in West LA. Not West LA, I guess Mid-City, whatever. Next Gen. You should go check them out. This is where people in, for instance, Magic World do like your pre-release and your modern weekly event and Friday Night Magic and all that stuff. They're bringing a lot of that to Riftbound, that same stuff, where they're going to have, for instance, a demo event. I believe these will almost certainly be, they didn't talk about the timelines on these, I don't think, but these will be like as the game is starting to come out. Then they will have release events where you can go as the set comes out. Origins is the first one. Later on, these will become pre-release events for future sets, but this is whenever the game is coming out, you can go and compete in this with, I think they're giving champion decks initially is what you'll be able to buy and play against other people. They'll have promos for that, which is pretty neat. And then they have Nexus Nights. Again, these are going to be their version of like Friday Night Magic. I think every LGS gets to choose what night of the week is Nexus Night, but that's where they have like your weekly competition that you get to enjoy. And then they have something above all this stuff, which is called the Summoner Skirmish. This is also happening at the LGS level. So I assume that that will be, I don't know. I don't think they talk too much about the cadence of the Summoner Skirmish, but this is just sort of like, this is the elevated version of your weekly thing. If you really want to win and be your like LGS champion, you presumably go win the Summoner Skirmish. So this brings us to the regional qualifiers. So the regional qualifiers are where you get cash prizing. That's right, they have cash prizing. So I know that Wizards of the Coast does cash prizing for a lot of their events. I know there are other TCGs from talking to people who only do promos, but the promos are super rare and they're very cool, and so people turn those into cash. And so it is cash prizing by proxy of these promo cards that you can only get from winning these, and a lot of them go for a ton, I've heard, in the One Piece world. But in addition to promos, and additional swag is what they have here, they will do cash prizing. They have best of prizes as well. So one of the interesting things that they kind of floated the idea on but didn't have too many details on was the idea that maybe you show up with a Yasuo deck, and then if you are the best performing Yasuo deck at your tournament, you get something that is specific to Yasuo. And I don't think they're doing anything in the client right now, but when the question of like digital link, into it, a la Spectral Tiger, for those that know World of Warcraft trading card game, way back in the day, came up, they said that they liked the idea that, maybe if you did really well as Yasuo at an event, maybe, in client, you could represent that somehow. So I don't know if it'd be like a champion border or something like that, or maybe a skin, who knows. But there is some really cool stuff that they're planning on doing that I think is, to my knowledge, somewhat innovative. Maybe this is done in one piece or something, I don't know. But you go to one of these regional championships and you're like, aha, I have shown up. I know Yasuo is not in the meta, but I'm going to be the best performing Yasuo player. I'm going to do really well. Hopefully that actually incentivizes people to mix up the meta. These regional qualifiers, they say, are going to match up with Riot events where possible. So, for instance, I imagine this December event may be at the TFT Paris event that is happening this year, because Riftbound was first playable at TFT Macau. This is their big end of the year event that they do in TFT. So I imagine that there will be some sort of competition at the Paris thing. That's me. I don't know if they specifically said that, but I think they referenced they'd be in Paris. I assume that's going to be one of these things. Ahead of the regional qualifier, beyond the regional qualifier, if you place in the top 2, 4, 8, or 16, based off of if there are 64 players, 129, 256, 512, whatever, they're going to qualify you into the regional championships. You get cash prizing or high-level promos, etc. That will begin in October 2026. So this is something that will have, I think there's only going to be 1 or 2 of these in 2026. It's interesting because their information here says there's going to be only 1 or 2 of these in 2026, but then they say it begins in October. So unless they're doing one in October and one right after, I assume they're only going to do one. And then in future years beyond that, they're planning to do 2 to 3 of these regional championships. And so this is the idea where, best of the entire region. So North America, for instance, all kind of come together and fight against each other. And then eventually we get to the World Championships. So very familiar to people who have played Magic the Gathering or and followed that pro scene, or like esports. Kind of mirrors a lot of the different stuff. I think what is pretty interesting for people who want to compete in this, they should probably know that this is going to be built around constructed. So all their premier events and month 2 store level competitive events are going to be constructed. So limited multiplayer stuff, draft, which is still being worked on. It's not something that they'll even have out the gate, is all going to be stuff down the road. They are planning on maybe doing some teams events at where you play duo premier events, I guess, or side events is something that they're talking about doing. But really, 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 the majority of the things that you're going to be doing are playing constructed. They also mentioned that set rotation will begin in 2028. So that is, I guess, kind of cool if you're trying to figure out, like, hey, if I invest into decks and cards and all that stuff, will these be able to be functional for a long time? Yeah, they'll be functional for at least a couple of years until everything gets rotated. So that is kind of the overlay or outline of the organized play that they're going to be doing this. So if you're like, hey, I want to get Riftbound, I want to make some money, I want to compete and be the best in my store or in my region or in my world, I guess this is all the information you need to know. Go watch my other videos if you haven't yet. We talk a little bit about the collectability about the game. We talk a little bit about some of the other news that came out from this event and all that type of stuff. But subscribe if you are curious, you want to learn more about Riftbound. This is a new channel. And getting subscribers is the thing that's going to motivate me to continue to make videos for it.